My name is Ed Frawley. My wife and I own Leerburg. This is an interesting podcast that we put together this week. Cindy and I have a good friend, Joaquim Dovat from Switzerland. Joaquim is probably one of the top decoys in the United States right now. And I know there are a lot of good decoys in the United States, but I personally don't know anybody that's better than Joaquim because of the experience that he's had for the last 23 years being a decoy in Switzerland and in European countries. Joaquim specializes in young dogs. He specializes in decoying for the Mondio ring sport. 2 years ago, before COVID, Joaquim came to our house and we had 3 or 4 seminars in that summer. And it was just great. We had heard about Joaquim for years from friends of ours that had gone over and watched him do decoy work. So we decided to meet him back in 2018 and 19, and he gives great seminars. And we hope to be able to work together. Both he and I want to work together on some online courses that'll be coming up in the future. But I think it is important for people to understand the background and the experience of people that they choose to learn how to do dog training from. And in Joaquim's place, people need to know his background in doing decoy work because it's very impressive. The thing that really impresses Cindy and I about Joaquim is what a nice guy he is. There's no ego involved with Joaquim and his work. He just loves training dogs and he lets his work speak for himself. Now, I'll just say this, having been around the biting dog sports since 1973, a lot of times when you have decoys that get reasonably good, it seems to swell their head. Their head gets a little bit big. Their ego takes over and it changes their personality. That has not happened to Joaquim. It's so important. It is important to me because it's the kind of person that I want to be around and it's the kind of person that I want to work with. And the last thing I want to say about Joaquim is that he is a teaching decoy. And I should preface that by talking about the difference between a trial decoy and a teaching decoy. When people want to learn how to be a decoy, they can become a good trial decoy in several years. 2, 3, not 2 years, probably 3 or 4 years. But to become a teaching decoy, in my opinion, in most cases takes 10 years, maybe 15 years to be a good teaching decoy. One thing I learned from the podcast that we're going to show you is that in Switzerland, they had 2 levels of certification for decoy. They have a trial decoy and they have a teaching decoy certification. And Joaquim is right at the top of the teaching decoy certification. And as you listen to this podcast, you're going to know why. So today we have a very interesting guest at Leerburg. Joaquim Dovat is a friend of ours and who is a world-class decoy from Switzerland. And I thought that people would find it interesting to talk to somebody that Cindy and I consider one of the finest training decoys for dog sports, or even his experience in the military with military dogs. And I thought it would be interesting to kind of pick his brain on how he came to be as good as he is today. He lives in Las Vegas now for a few years, and he's in the United States as a dog trainer. And he won't stay here forever. He gives decoys seminars and dog training seminars all over the country, really all over the world. He's given seminars in China and in the Philippines and in different countries in Europe. Hasn't been to Australia yet, but he really wants to go. So if anybody's in Australia and they want a really good seminar on decoy work, we'll put his email there and you can talk to him. But just to give you a feel for the experience of Joaquim is I'll tell you a little bit about, because I've taken notes here, and Cindy and I know him very well. He's been to our house a number of times. Before COVID, he did 3 or 4 seminars here at Leerburg, and not big, huge seminars. I'm talking seminars where we only took in like 10 dogs, because that's a lot of suit work, and that's really all one decoy can do in a day. And especially somebody like Joaquim, who spends so much time with each of the dog handlers that have come into these seminars. But a little bit of background on him is he started dog training in the 1990s, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. He went into the Swiss military in 2000 and got into the Swiss military dogs in 2003. Got interested in the ring sport, basically Mondio ring sport, in the 2000s, and he was twice the #1 decoy in super selection for the decoys for the FCI for the World Championships for Mondio ring. And he was one time, he finished 2nd for super selection for the FCI in the Mondio Ring World Championships. And I want to be sure I have this correctly, because he was 3 times in the decoy selection for the FMBB, 2 Bs in that. And that's a very, very large club in Europe for the Belgian Shepherds. And the Belgian Shepherds include Belgian ring, like Mondio ring, Treverns, Grenadales, and I always have a problem saying this,
Lekenois.
Lekenois.
Correct.
Lekenois. I got to put a lick in there, a Lekenois. So that is a huge club over there, and he was one of the selected decoys for their World Championships too. But getting started on this, why don't you tell us, Joaquim, how you gotten started in dogs? When did you get started in dogs? Because right now you're 43 years old?
Yeah, 43. Yeah. Wait, maybe more. No, 44.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I know. I was there many years ago. How did you get started? How old were you when you got involved?
I started in 1889. I had 21 years old. 21 years old. Uh-huh. And it was a small town with a small club. And I remember on this time with my girlfriend, she had a German Shepherd. And I was not very interested about dog, you know. And she go to the club, and then she have the regular club, and she have a section for Mondioring, and she meet the decoy, the trainer, and she say, hey, come with me, check, you know. I say, okay, why not? I want to see. And it was fun because I saw the dog bite, and was, yeah, that's different perspective to see the dog. And the guy said, you want to try the soothe? I said, why not, you know? 21 years old, this can be fun. And I put the soothe on. You have a good dog, a good grip, fast enough. And the first time, I was loved that.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I like the decoy walk is different to handling a dog, because it's the challenge to teach the dog properly way, to target the dog. I love the physical way too.
Yeah.
I'm a walker a bit. And during the training, you train maybe 4 or 5 different personality of dog.
Yeah.
Like if you are just with your dog, it's just you and your dog. You know?
Yeah.
Decoy walk is more bigger and fun.
When you first started, did the dog take you down? Did the dog
Not the
knock you?
first time, the second time.
The second time he took you down?
The first time he did just with the leash, maybe
Yeah.
3 feet bite.
Yeah.
And was like, yeah, easy. And the second time he pushed me a little bit more, and yeah, I fell a couple of times.
I have a funny story because back in 1978, I went to a Schutzhund seminar in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the German guy that was there, Fritz Bieler, had won the German Bundesliga, which was the world champion Schutzhund competition. And his dog was there. Enno Antreftal was the #1 dog in, I want to say, 1974. And the year before, he had just won with his second dog who he had there. Well, this wasn't a decoy seminar, but it was a training seminar, and these people started saying, oh, that's Schutzhund, they just bite on a sleeve. No, 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 they bite on a jacket and the body and everywhere. And they were kind of kidding him, and he says, hey, you, and he points at me, get in that suit. What? I was like your age when you started, So he takes me aside, and we get out on this field at Paul Hambach's place in Milwaukee. And he takes me aside and he says, look, you're going to be okay here. I said, yeah. He said, whatever you do, don't fall down. Really? He said, just run as fast as you can run. So, okay, I get about 50 yards away from him, and I'm scared shitless now, and I think I'm going to get hurt. And he sends this dog, and he hit me at a full speed. He hit me in the shoulder, and he bit me right in the shoulder, and he drove me into the ground, and I'm laying on the ground, and I turn around and I look like this, and this dog's got his head right here, and he's looking me right in the eye. And I said, please don't hurt me. He was a great dog. He was a safe dog, a total safe dog. But I always remember those moments because that reminded me why I wasn't good enough to be a decoy. That was the end of my decoy career.
The beginning and the
serious part. So going on for you then, so you got interested in what happened to the German Shepherd? Where'd that one go?
We trained for 1 year. It was a standout German Shepherd, and we do the X-ray.
Yeah.
And it was terrible.
Oh, bad hips?
Bad hips, very bad hips.
Yeah.
And we need to stop him for the sport.
Yeah.
And after that, I say, I don't want the German Shepherds anymore.
Yeah, that's too bad.
It's bad. We spent 1 year, it was
and then
the first dog.
And then what?
What?
Then what did you get for a dog after that? Malinois?
Malinois, it was, but after I just do my decoy work.
Oh.
I stay in the club for 3-4 years.
Oh.
I stayed longer, and I was just be a decoy.
Okay,
I have no interest
to handling.
You
didn't even have a dog. You just learned how to be a decoy.
Yeah, I like to, step by step, and I want to put my energy to be a decoy. We're traveling a lot in Belgium because on this time, Switzerland, it was nothing on the dog sport.
Yep.
IGP, yeah, but Mondioring, it was
the
beginning.
And IGP, for those that don't know, when I started in the dog sport, it was Schutzhund, and then they changed it to IGP. I don't even know what IGP stands for. Do you? What's it mean?
I don't know.
I know
it's IPO. IPO.
IPO, yeah. I remember it was Schutzhund, it was IPO, and then it was IGP.
Yeah.
I don't know. So then you were in it strictly doing decoy work and going around to seminars or to clubs doing club decoy work. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, club, and we go to Belgium. We find Filippo Rocchi, a very good trainer on this time, and we train with him. We touch a little bit the Belgium ring because it was Belgium ring, and I learned a lot.
From the Belgian ring guys?
Yeah, for the Belgian ring. I have the full grip, the comfortability.
Yeah, they have great dogs, don't they?
Yeah.
I love it. They have the best gripping dogs anywhere. It's natural gripping dogs.
Natural gripping,
really
and the
cool
selection
dogs.
is for that. And the environmental distraction, the obstacle, the water, the pool. It's a nice sport.
I've always wondered why Belgian ring, Mondio ring came to the United States. Belgian ring never came to the United States. French ring came to the United States. I don't know why Belgian ring never got popular in America, because it's a great dog sport.
Yeah.
And I think the French ring and the Mondio ring decoys have to be much better than the Belgian ring decoys, don't you think?
Yeah, because it's the grip.
Yeah.
You have some point for the grip.
Yeah.
And the decoy need give the grip for the judge can see if it's full grip or if you bite on 2 times.
It seems like the Mondio ring and the French ring decoy work, though, is more athletic.
Yeah.
Don't you think? You have to be more skilled, I think, in how to catch dogs.
Yeah, and the dog can bite everywhere.
Yeah.
Belgian ring, you have the pieces of jut on the legs or on the arm.
Sure.
And the dog need bite there.
Right.
Mondio ring or French ring, it just...
So then, in the early 2000s, you went in the military. What year did you go in the military?
I was for the school, the military school.
Yeah.
I was Grenadier Territorial. It's a good good incorporation. Mm-hmm. And I have a car accident and I break my elbow.
Yeah.
And
Were you drinking?
Not on this crash.
That's a bad question. I shouldn't have asked that. You're young. I mean, you're young in the military. I had 2 sons in the military.
It's good. 20, 21 years old.
Yeah,
it's good. Party.
Do stupid stuff.
No, I missed a curb. And,
yeah. And then what happened? You broke your arm, so then did you have to get out of the military, or what did that happen?
I stay in the military, but I can continue on this incorporation, and I go a little bit a different one, a little bit more, less physical.
Right.
And I can finish my school, and after the school, I continue the repetition course. Now we need go every year, 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah. So that's right. Just for the people here in the United States, like our National Guard, they have to go for 2 weeks or 4 weeks a year to training, and then they have a 3 or 4 year commitment. And in Switzerland, how many years do you have to be in that, did you say?
The minimum is 9 years.
9 years they keep you in.
240 days. 45 days you need to do. And
then when you go into the military there, you have 2 options. Why don't you explain those?
You have the military school, or the civil school.
Civilian school.
Civilian work, yeah.
So then in the civilian school, what do they do?
It's more on depending on the village or the country, it's prepare you if you have a thunderstorm and the water in the garage, you go help the people.
Okay.
Or you build up a bridge. It's just to, a little bit like, they can say
like after disasters.
Yeah,
and stuff
after
like
disaster or something. Sure. If it's not disaster, you can help for make a bridge in the forest or cut some tree. You do a little bit.
You sent me some videos. We should put a link on some of the Swiss videos that you sent me, because some of them are really funny. Everybody in Switzerland has to own a gun, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Even women.
Even women.
Even women. They have to have a gun.
Yeah. It's not the mentality change a little bit, because now before we have the gun in the house, and now we have a choice. And the new generation don't want to carry a gun in the house, depending what you do for a job. But it's a responsibility.
What's very interesting is the amount of training that they put you through to have that gun, and the bullets.
And the bullet, yeah.
The bullets they keep inventory on, don't they?
Yeah.
They give you so many bullets, and they check on them all the time to make sure you still have them?
Oh yeah, every year, if we go again to the course, you need to take the bullet.
Yeah.
And if something's happening on the bullet, it can be a big trouble. I remember
they don't have any mass shootings in Switzerland, do they? No. Like not here in the United States.
No, it is. I think the education is different.
Better education, and better background checks.
And the rules,
Yeah, and the rules, yeah. Well, we don't need to go into that. But then, when did you get involved in military police dogs, or in military dogs. How did that happen?
On the center. I was doing my certification for Mondioring.
Yep.
I started in 2002 or 3 with my friend. And during the certification, we have some instructor, and one of these instructor was one guy working the military and the centers for dog.
Yeah.
And he saw me with the suit, and he talked with me and said, "Hey, you're good. You have a good feeling. You're good in shape.
Yeah.
You're not scared of the dog." And he gave me the opportunity to have a contract in the military for 4 years.
Uh-huh.
And I say, "Why not? You know,
It'd be fun.
yeah.
Play with dogs.
Step on."
So the Swiss have a center just for dogs,
Just for dog.
not horses.
Oh, no, it's horse, dog, and pigeon.
And what?
Pigeon, the breed, the bird.
Pigeons?
Yeah, pigeon. Sorry, accent.
Pigeons?
Pigeon.
That's a good one. You know, they do almost the same thing in Canada without the pigeons.
Yeah, I know the
Canada.
pigeons.
And you know where else they do
like-
it? I take that back. I didn't mean Canada. I meant in Holland. They have the horses and the dogs in the same place in southern Holland, because I went there a couple times. And with my friend Kevin Sheldo, who I do my police videos with, a lot of my police videos with, Kevin and I were visiting their federal dog school. And we were invited to go with the horse people for a big soccer competition between the Dutch and the British in England. Yeah, I know. It was crazy.
Yeah, that can be fun. Yeah.
But we don't have to go there. So now, you went there, and what did you do? What did you train with the military? You were there just for 4 years or longer than 4 years?
Oh, it was my contract for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I was in the center to train the dog. The system in the military, it's the military on this time buy a dog in French, Belgium,
Okay.
Italy. But the dog, it's 1 year to 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
A lot of French trained dog we have on this time.
Yeah.
We take the dog in the center, LT check, if it's okay. And after we put the military program, search on the building, search on the forest, the obedience we have for the military, and the bite walk. And in this situation, we take a profile of the dog, and if he's very strong, it's maybe for the military corps. If he's a good standard, good dog, he go to the school, and we select the dog to put on the different.
When you say he goes to the school, what do you mean at school? A school, like a high school?
No, the school, like a military school.
Military school,
With the milice.
Oh, I see. So the dogs that come in, they would go into and become a military police dog, correct?
Correct, yeah. Or
Would they
airborne.
also go into the civilian police department too?
Yeah, the civilian conducteur de chien, militaire, a military handler.
Okay. So how long is the school for the dogs? How long do they come in?
With the soldier,
Well, once you buy the dogs, once these
he stay
these
in the-
guys bring their dogs and they want to sell them, right?
Yeah,
And then your instructors test the dogs and figure out, yes, they're good or no, they're not.
correct.
Once they go through and they get checked medically, like you said, then they go in and start their training. How long is the training for the dog?
Depending a little bit of the dog and depending of the time of the school, because you have two school for the milice in this
Two
center.
schools for the military?
Yeah, one at beginning on February, March.
Oh, I see. Every year.
Yeah, and
Okay.
one it's I think August, September.
And how long are they?
It's 3 months,
3 months.
Yeah.
12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Okay. Interesting. I know I went to Canada to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and their school is 20 weeks long.
20 weeks.
But
yeah.
theirs is crazy tracking. Hard, long tracks.
Yeah, mind tracking.
Through the city, through the woods. I don't know, there's 3 levels, and level 1 they have to track 5 kilometers. Yeah, it's a long way to track with backtracks and road crossings and crazy stuff. So now, so you have 12 weeks, and did you work the dogs in bite work for the full 12 weeks, or just part of that, or what?
Part of that, the bite work, the obedience, the search on the building, and search on the forest.
And then on average, how many dogs would go through in a class?
Between, let's say, 12 and 20, 22.
Okay.
Depending on how much student we are.
And did they train them in detector work too, for narcotics and bombs?
No, this is just for the professional, the nose work.
So when do they go and did you ever get involved in the detector dogs for the military, for the bomb dogs or the narcotics dogs?
Yeah, in the military I have 2 dogs. One it was drug detection and one bomb detection.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So the interesting thing is that, let's talk about what kind of dogs the Swiss military use. What do they use for dogs? German Shepherds or Malinois? What do they use?
15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was 80% of Malinois. And this time we buy a lot of dogs from French Ring. It was most popular. And now with the new system a little bit, with the breeding system, and I think it's 50-50. 50% German Shepherds and 50% Malinois. And
do the Swiss breed their own military dogs and police dogs?
No, the system of Switzerland, it do the parenage.
What the heck?
Some breeder breed dog,
just
train the dog to puppy to 12 months or 60 months, and he do the test, and if the dog is good, it's sell for the military.
Then it goes into the military.
Correct.
Okay. And talk a little bit about the military dog handlers, how they handle their dogs. Now they come in, let's say you're a young soldier. Do you have to come with your own dog, or do they find a dog for you?
The 99% is the military find a dog for the soldier.
And
we have some soldiers come with a home dog, but he need pass the test.
Okay.
If he bite good, or depending if it's for search and rescue dog or patrol dog.
So the young guy wants to be a canine handler. He gets his dog. He goes through the 12 weeks of schooling with the dog.
Correct.
And then he goes home with the dog?
Yeah. He buy the dog 2,000 Swiss francs. This is nothing, you know. Yeah. And after he go home with the dog.
So he has his military dog he takes home, but he's only in the military for how many weeks a year?
3 weeks.
3 weeks a year. So he takes his military police dog home, and then he brings him back next year for 3 weeks?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so they must have a different kind of dog.
Yeah, that's true. It's more sport dog, you know.
It is?
Yeah.
More even-tempered, not so sharp?
Not so sharp, no.
Yeah.
And on this situation, it's maybe 85% family dog and 5% patrol dogs.
So it's kind of a different type of situation than what we have here in our country then.
Yeah, this is different.
Totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah, because in our country now, we're starting to breed our own dogs down at Lackland Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. And then they have a puppy program where they raise them. But in Switzerland, you have breeders that breed just for the military, and they raise them.
Correct. Yeah.
And do it, and then they try and get them into the military if they can pass the test. That's correct. What about the police dogs that go through this 12-week program? That's a different kind of dog.
This is different, yeah. For the military police dog, for example, the military buy a dog, it's good dog, he can do nose work, for selection too.
Yeah.
And the military cops come for 2 weeks in the center.
Yeah.
He touch his dog and he understands to do the obedience, to do the bite work, search on the building. After the 2 weeks, he take the dog in this incorporation. and you have the dog with him.
All the time?
All the time.
All the time. So how does when you were there, did you just work to be the decoy stuff, to do the decoy stuff with the military police dogs?
Everything. We are, on this time, the time I start, we have 1, 2, 4, 6 people. And we do obedience, bite walk, search on the building, and we make a rotation. Some day it was me in the suit, some day it was me, the handler, and my friend in the suit, and we mix.
But you were in the military, and you were in super selection. You were in the World Championships in 2009, and in 2010, and 2015, but you were in the military then?
Yeah.
And the military has no problem letting you go?
No problem, no.
Do they encourage you to go and do that?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Not in America.
Not America?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
A bit, on this time, the military like to do sport because we buy a lot of dogs from sport, and let's make it a little bit more popular, I think.
So the military helps and likes the sport dog work.
Yeah.
I wish it was more like that here in America.
For the control is better.
What's that?
For the control is better. If you have a good sport dog, I can say it's easy. It's a little bit easier to teach him to be aggression on certain type of situation.
Yeah.
To the inverse, you have a crazy dog, but you need to teach him to be calm on different situations.
So just to repeat that, if you've got a crazy dog, it's awful hard to make that dog calm into a house dog, a calm house dog.
Yeah.
But if you've got a really good character sport dog, a lot of times, as long as the character is good and they can pass the testing, it's easier to make them into good police dogs, strong police dogs. And that's the way to look at it too. It really is.
I have a perfect example. I was an instructor expert in the World Economic Forum for the patrol dogs with the soldier.
Yeah.
And we have the soldiers coming, and we do for 2 weeks Kevlar bites, civil bites, we put the dog very up for the mission we have on this time. After we have 1 week mission, we do maybe every night or every 2 nights we go do the bite walk in the place where is the soldier we patrol with the dog.
Yeah.
And after, if the mission is done, we have 1 week we put cool down the dog. This can make sense?
Yeah, calm them down.
Calm them down.
So
just
you work
play around the decoy, no bite, no crazy stuff. Go to the city with the dog, just for so if the dog it was too much or if he cool down and he start being under
Do they make
control.
the dogs wear muzzles when they take them to the city?
Usually no.
They don't.
Depending if it's inside the bus or if it's close with the people, we put the muzzle on.
So do you see pretty good dogs in the Swiss military?
Yeah.
For the police end, not for the military dog handlers, not for the handlers that it's 80% living in the house and 20% doing normal work. The other ones, do you see pretty strong and good dogs there?
Yeah.
You do, huh?
Yeah.
So you, because of your experience in the Mondio, you've seen some really good dogs, so you know you're seeing good dogs. Did you get hurt very often?
Good time.
Huh? Not bad, though?
Not bad. I've just one time 11 stitches in
A what?
11 stitches in my face.
In your face?
Yeah.
People probably that don't know the bite work, when they see these dogs doing the bark and hold, they always wonder about that. Every now and then a guy does get a tooth hooked in his jaw and gets ripped.
Yeah.
Is that what happened to you?
It was a face with accessory, and I had the accessory and the dog jumped
over the top of it?
Over the accessory, and he punched me in my face, he go away, and after I finished the phase of accessory, 10 seconds, and he reset the dog, and I was like, I have no hold, and after I touched, I said, okay, I'm open.
Yeah, I
And
know.
I go to the judge, and after I go to the hospital. And
I have a funny story like that too. I had my police dog in town here, and I was training him, and I was tracking in the park on the end of town. And at the end, there was a guy, and there was a jungle gym for kids to play on. And he saw me there with the police dog, so he came over and wanted to ask questions. And my dog was kind of a hyper dog anyway. He was not a sharp, aggressive dog. He ignored them. But I had dropped my leash, and I reached down to pick my leash up, and my dog jumped up at the same time and hit me. His mouth hit my mouth, and it broke my front 2 teeth off.
oh,
And my first thought was, how did that son of a bitch spit gravel in my mouth? And then I felt, and I didn't have any teeth in the front. So yeah, I always wondered, if you get in a fight and you get your teeth knocked out, does it hurt? It didn't hurt. It didn't hurt at all, but they were broke right off. And so then I had to mumble to this guy and say, well, I'm sorry, I got to go to the dentist now. I know, jeez Louise. But I've been lucky. I've never been badly bitten in 60-some years of doing that. Let me go on here. So when you do seminars here in America, what type of seminar do you like to do? People call and they bring you, but what kind of seminars are they?
yeah. During the seminar, what I like is train the young dog, because I like the personality of the young dog. I like because you can see the evolution a little bit faster.
Yep.
But on every situation, what I like is train the handler on his dog. Depending of the age or whatever the program, you just find a solution on his problem if he have, or find him a continuity to train his dog. To build up the relationship or build up the confidence, depending of the dog, depending of the handler. And for me, it's more the challenge to make the team happy. Does make sense?
No, I mean, I know. I mean, after seeing you and having you here for the seminars that we had before COVID, and I can say for a fact that the way you work with the handlers is really, really respectful. I have a real problem with handlers that are very critical of new trainers that don't know what they're doing. You don't do that. I have to give you a lot of credit, which is well deserved, on how you handle the young dogs and how you bring them along. And some of them need more work than others, and you're excellent at that. And I know, I have videotape of all those seminars. I've never used it. And probably what I'll do is take some time and maybe edit out some of that work with the young dogs and show it a video on YouTube so people can see how good you are with those young dogs, because that's the foundation for it. If you can get the foundation down, then the skills can come later, as long as there's a good foundation for it.
Correct.
And it's just important, as important, more important for the handler to do it. And with the wrong instructor that doesn't have the patience, the handler's never going to learn, because they're put in defense. You know, they're insulted, or you just handle the people really well. You hold your own, maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but you hold your own 5-day seminars. Tell me a little bit about those for decoys.
Yeah, for decoy.
Why don't you say a little bit about that? How many do you like to get in a seminar? What type of things do you cover in that 5-day seminar?
For this seminar, I went to do the bungee walk, but the possibility to use the bungee.
For those that don't know, a bungee work is where it's a tie out, where the dog's fastened to a hard point, be it if it's inside, tied to a hook in the wall, outside, tied to a post, tied to a tree. on a bungee. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but some people that are going to be watching this don't know what a bungee is. So go ahead, you do that now.
And on this situation, just to teach the decoy to target the dog properly on the both legs. What kind of bungee we can use, but sometimes depending on the dog and depending what we want to train, we use a long bungee, maybe 15 feet, or you use a short bungee and long leash, maybe 1 foot bungee and 15 feet, 20 feet long leash fixed.
So the bungee is attached to the leash?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And there's still a short tension with the bungee or a bigger one.
Okay.
And this is two different exercise for the dog, and it's two different exercise for the decoy. If the decoy want to teach the dog to be fast on the last moment, or to be powerful for maybe 10, 15 feet before bite the decoy, and that's a different element to train. Where I want to do the last moment, like for French ring, because the dog need be quick the last meters, the last 3 feet. The short bungee and long leash is perfect because the last moment the dog feel the tension and he need react fast.
So and again, for people that don't know what the ring sport is, when you teach your dogs to bite into the legs, how do you want their head? When you say you teach them, what do you mean by you teach them how to bite into the legs?
It's, for example, if you bite the left legs, the dog need to have the eyes on the other side, outside of the decoy. Because on this situation, if you move always with the neck, there's no angle. But for example, if the dog look inside between my legs and I twist my knee or my legs, it's painful for the dog and I can make can have accident.
You want the dog to come in and you want the dog to bite like this.
To bite.
You want the bite with his eyes out here.
Yeah. Because if I move like this, the dog stays straight, the vertebral is straight. But for the inverse, if you bite and you say like that.
With the eyes on the inside.
The eyes on the inside, and I do that, is a tension of his neck.
Torque their neck.
Yeah.
And that's important.
That's
and the
very
dogs,
important,
So when the dogs are young, you can teach them always bite with the eyes to the outside.
Yeah.
And that's why you use the different deals. That's why you use the different bungees. So you do that in your decoy work. What else do you teach them in your 5-day seminar?
The different option to, but long bungee, short bungee. We can put the bungee on the lateral. It just mean, for example, on this situation, we train first the bungee straight. And after we can have the dog, the point of the bungee is, where's my chest? I have the handler here, the decoy here, and I send the dog on that way, and the bungee go like this, and the tension coming, and the dog need through like a pivot, the French ring style, to push and grab the decoy one side or the other side.
And that teaches the dog to do what?
To if the dog come like this, the tension is a lateral for the dog, on his left side, and the decoy go on the right side, and he need push and cut the trajectory to grab the decoy. It's just a different option with the bungee. Typical for Frenching is good. We use it for Mondioring too, for the accessory, just to go through the accessory and grab the decoy. To be a bit more faster.
And power.
And powerful.
Okay, so you cover that. Then what else in the seminar?
I want to do with, we train for the target, can be our body or legs, with the very small bungee, and the leash maybe 5 feet on the pole, and it just, we have the dog is front of me, and maybe I show him the arm, and if he wants to bite, I just move and I present the legs. For teach the dog the opposite. Opposite, yeah, or the X.
So explain that one more time, because you went through it fast.
For example, we train the inverse. In the beginning, we help the dog, okay, you come on the left legs, I show you, you bite, perfect. Both legs, I teach with the arm inside, and after if the dog understands.
On the arm, where do you want their head and their eyes on the arm?
Here, outside.
Okay, same, just like the legs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And always close to the center. I never give a bite like here.
Right.
Because after it's outside. And the attitude of the decoy, it's play with the shoulders, like push the dog, come here. Make a scope, come here. This makes sense. And after with the small bungee and the long leash, like 10 feet, maybe 5 feet, we don't care. It's small, the room for the dog. But just give me opportunity to, for example, show him my legs. I show him my legs, he's ready to bite, and the last moment I do this. Okay. I take out my legs, and I come with my arm for the dog switch.
And you can do that with the short bungee and the long leash?
Short bungee first, yeah.
Yep.
Because with the short bungee, I have no possibility to grab my legs.
Right.
And I can teach him, or my legs go away, the arm coming, grab the arm.
And that's what you teach the new. That's what you teach the new handlers, new decoys.
New decoy, yeah.
Okay.
But step by step.
Right. Right. Okay. After that, what do you teach them? In the 5-day seminar.
Yeah. Or the target face, the target up, the target on the flea attack too. The good targeting the dog on the flea.
Talk about the flea though. What do you teach them on the flea? How to run and not get taken down to the ground.
Correct. Yeah.
So they don't have to look over their shoulder at the eyes of a dog. No, you teach them how to catch a dog?
Yeah. It's the flea attack, a lot of people don't like to do the flea because you don't understand to target the dog properly.
Yeah.
But if you teach the dog, you understand the timing, you understand to positioning the dog, and more you train, more you are available to do that. Yeah, you have the feeling.
For when the dog's going to hit you.
Correct, yeah. Okay. And you can teach the dog. Me, I teach the dog, if the decoy look on the right side, he bite the right legs. Oh. If the decoy look on the left side, he bite the left legs. You
can teach them that, huh?
Yeah. But if you do that with a bungee and you start with a young dog, after you keep your confidence on.
Sure.
And after it's easy to run.
And then in the seminar, do you teach accessories?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, I do. First, I teach to go through the accessory, to teach the dog to go through. And after, I teach with, for example, a position to bite the arm.
That's holding the accessory.
Correct, yeah. And after, I do the same like I explained before with the short bungee. I show my arm, but if I do this, he need bite the legs.
Okay.
And the inverse is if I show him my legs, and I do this, and he come up. It's like a scoop coming with the accessory. It's like the technicity for French ring, but it's good for Mondioring.
Cool.
Makes sense.
Anything else that we forgot about that 5-day seminar?
For this seminar, that's a little bit... Yeah, after, always if I train a dog, this is as my philosophy, and for every seminar, I try to explain, okay, what I do, for example, with the bungee walk. This is my basic for the week. But after, depending of the dog I saw, for example, you have a crazy dog. I say, okay, maybe for this dog, it's not ideal to do a bungee because he's crazy. The bungee is a frustration. It's a bit, put the dog a bit dominant or active. And say, if it's too much, the bungee put him maybe too high and it's difficult to have a control. For me, it's very important. It's the cue for train the dog, but the first point is see the dog. Okay, he bite good. It's maybe you need a little bit more control before you do the bungee, or you do the bungee like a good control on the beginning, bungee, and after control on the end. You don't lose the control because after 2-3 day bungee, the out start be an option for the dog. You know, there's always a balance. And for me, it's very important to teach the decoy to. It's not just put the suit and do a banzai. You know, it's okay. You do some things, but what you do have an impact on the dog. Yeah. The impact of the dog have an impact for the handler. You know, if he lose the control, it's bad if he wants to play level 3 or high level in the future because you need to have the control. And it's like a constellation. Every star need to be in a good position to have a good success of training. So in
even any kind of dog training, the really good dog trainers will say, it's not set in stone, do this, do this, do this. You have to train the dog you have in front of you because every dog is different.
And every handler is different.
And every handler is different. So in your seminars, do you talk about how to work with different temperament dogs? Do you teach these decoys If you have a dog that is a little crazy, you do this. If you have a dog that's a little weaker, you do this.
Correct. Yeah. Every seminar I try to do that because for me it's very important. It's the dog, you're walking the dog now, it's YouTube, everything, we can find thousands of systems.
Right.
But it's very important to understand the handler, understand the dog. Don't put the dog too much. And I try to always explain what I'm doing with the dog. Mm-hmm. For the people understand it's, oh, okay, you do that because the dog is like this. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't do that with the other dog because it's different. And for me, it's very important to teach the decoy young, or teach the handler too, because it's his dog too. Mm-hmm. Say, I do that because if he understands, next week, if I'm not there, he can continue to train. But if he doesn't understand,
you're screwed.
He's screwed. And for me, I like this because it's very important to understand, like a decoy part and the handler part too.
Yeah.
And if you know what you do with your dog and what you need to do with your dog, mm-hmm. you can change the decoy and say, I want to do this.
This is why a lot of people that get involved in the dog sports, in the biting dog sports, and they get decoys out there that can learn the technique and they can go and do trial work, but they can't be training decoys.
That's different.
It's 100% different. And a lot of people that just get started in dog work don't understand that. You can learn how, not you, but people can learn how to be a decoy in a Schutzhund trial or in a trial in a few years. But it takes a long, long time to learn to be a training decoy. Oh, yeah. You need to understand temperament in dogs, and for me, having sponsored many, many seminars, the thing that drives me crazy in a seminar is that we will have somebody like you there that is really an expert, and maybe the handler's listening to you, but these other people are over there sitting texting on their phone and shooting the bull with their buddy, and they're missing a golden opportunity to learn something. It drives me crazy to see that. I just need to chew on my tongue and keep my mouth shut to see it happen. And I guess the only reason I know that is because for 50 years, when I'm going and filming dog training, I have to be there filming. I have to listen to what's going on and pay attention. So I know what these people are missing, and they're missing a golden moment when they don't pay attention. So that if you ever have an opportunity to go to one of Joaquim's seminars, pay attention. Don't be standing on the side shooting the bull with your buddy, because you're going to miss something that you should listen to. Back to your 5-day seminar, you're going to start to work on putting that into a course for yourself that you can sell. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we're going to help you do it. You know, we don't know whether Leerburg's going to sell it. It really comes down to whether you want to, but we're going to help you sell it because it needs to get out there. This kind of information needs to get out there because there's a lot of, like you said, somebody can go on YouTube and there's so much crap on YouTube. It's just garbage. A vast majority of it is garbage. And we'll put some of this stuff in short little clips just to demonstrate, you know, how to catch a dog. There's only so much, but it takes 5 days to go through it. So we're gonna hope that you can put this together. And the truth is, I think if somebody really wants to be a good decoy, if you can put this course together and make it available to a young decoy or an old decoy ahead of the time they come to your seminar. Think how much more they could learn. If they could take your videotape that you're going to put together and get it a few months before they're going to come to your 5-day seminar, think how much further ahead they're going to be.
Oh yeah, that's...
And plus, you're 43 years old. How much longer are you going to be able to go out there and catch these dogs? I know.
10
I've
more
been there,
years.
done that. You know, two knee replacements. One screws through my ankle. Just had 2 years ago, and a shoulder. My right shoulder's just perfect. My left shoulder, which is where I caught
You have
dogs
the
on sleep,
sleeve.
totally gone. Shoulder replacement. I'm a bionic man.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing when I go through the airport. I have to to get scanned. So, Joaquim, if there are young people that want to learn how to do decoy work, what age do you think they should be before they start?
Not too young, 18, 20. If I see, if I take my profile, I start 21 years old. I do a lot of competition. I train a lot of dogs in the military. And I have my 2 knee intact, you know. I was 10 years high level. And I have a lot of friends, French or Mondioring start early age, like 16, 14 sometimes. And as 20, 25, start have problem with the knee, you know.
Oh.
The bite work, the decoy work, it's hard. It's a hard job. You have always the shock, you know. It's a small shock, but still a shock. And after a year, after repetition, your joint, you turn down, your knees start to be a little bit loose.
How are your knees? Still good?
Yes, no protection. I'm happy.
I always wonder about soccer players. Think how good the knees have to be on soccer players.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I have guys like you in the same category, because it's so easy to make a mistake and get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, look, 2019 when you did the seminar here, and Denny, our really good friend from Chicago, was learn how to be a decoy. Remember, he broke his leg?
Yeah, I remember.
It was it wasn't a bad break. It was more of a, he went and had it all taken care of when he went back to Chicago, but it was not a break. It was like a split.
Right, a split,
yeah. But then again, he's older. You know, I
Yeah.
think Denny's in his 30s, mid-30s. So,
Yeah, and
what do you think about old guys? Now, I don't mean my age, but guys that are.
don't say my age.
Yeah, right. What do you think about guys that are in their 30s starting this? Can they do it?
Yeah.
Or can they do it at a club level and maybe not at a national?
It's very important. The decoy work, it's, for example, for me, on my optic, on the time I start high level, if I train 5 hours training dog, I do 5 hours physical. It can be stretching, fitness, CrossFit, natation.
Really?
Yeah. To have a little bit 50-50. Because decoy work, we work a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
Every muscle moving.
Right.
But every muscle need to be built up.
Right.
And it's not because you put the suit on, you build up your muscle. This is
Right.
on the side. Like, but it's like a dog, you know. You have a dog for competition. You swim with him, you do fitness, running, treadmill, whatever.
So many people don't do that, though.
No.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's
Crazy.
very important.
Yep.
To be a decoy for a long time, on the side is very important. Bicycle, if you don't like running. I say that because I don't like running.
But do you use a bicycle?
Yeah.
Do you?
Just for muscle.
Just for the motion, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's true, too.
Natation is good. Swimming
Yeah.
is very good. And stretching, too.
So here's another question, too. More and more in the past, I'm not going to say how many years, but in the recent, not so recent future, we see more women getting involved in decoy work. And I've seen some that are not bad. What's your thoughts on that? Are you seeing more women get involved?
Yeah, if I take the example in Switzerland, it was, we have 2014, Michelle Biedermann, it was a Swiss girl, and she was selected to the level 1 and 2, the World Championship.
No kidding. That's
And
cool.
she do the super selection, you know, she proved a lot of man was there, and she finished, I think, 4.
Very cool.
3 or 4? Oh, I don't remember.
What about here in the United States? Not so much from the national level, But when you do your seminars, are you seeing more women coming out that want to learn how to do decoy work?
Not too much in USA.
We had
Maybe
a couple.
not. Yeah, you have a couple.
We had a couple that came to the seminars before COVID when you were here.
Yeah, that's
Those
true.
ladies from Chicago, they were okay.
This was okay. No, it was
Sure.
good. Yeah, I'm listening. I'm good in shape. If I take the example, we have more women in Switzerland because we have two certifications for decoy. We have a certification for competition decoy,
Okay.
and we have a certification for training decoy.
Oh,
And both of them is 1 year. And a lot of women like to do the training decoy certification for learn to give a good target,
Right.
to teach the defense, to teach simple stuff of the basket, of the accessory. And that's why a lot of women like to put the suit on.
yeah. So that's a good idea. Too bad they don't do that here. Have a certification for somebody to be a training decoy. That would really help.
Oh, that's
Versus a certification for a trial decoy.
correct.
Those are two different animals.
Yeah.
They really are, aren't they?
Yeah, one build up the exercise and the other destroy the exercise. Yeah,
I remember going to one of the German Schutzhund competitions, I don't remember, in the late 80s, 1990s, and one of the decoys in the Bundesliga was 60 years old. Now, they have more than one decoy in a competition, but that guy at that age there was like 100 dogs in that competition. Think how good a shape, that was his, they made the announcement that he was 60, but it was his last competition he was ever going to do. And everybody was thinking, we hope he lives to the end of this, because 100 dogs, could you imagine that? No matter what, over 3 days. They do it over 3 days. What's the oldest you have seen decoys work in Mondioring? How old?
For training?
No, for the super selection. How old? What's the oldest you see guys in there?
Oh, I remember what was one of the super selection. I have a friend from Belgium. We have 52, 53.
52 years old in the super selection. Huh?
Yeah.
So the super selection, is it all in one day? How many guys come to it?
I know we do 2 days each.
2 days.
Yeah.
How many guys try out normally?
It's open. Usually it's between, depending where is the world championship, it's between 12 and 20, 25 people.
Mm-hmm. And what's it like? Do they just have you do the whole trial, or do you have to do certain exercises?
I do a physical test.
Yeah.
Without suit, with suit.
Talk about that, because I remember that to get certified to be a Mondioring decoy, just for a club decoy, you have to put the suit on, and you have to do some running and timed, at least the trial I saw. Do you know what the requirements are for the for the physical part?
For in USA?
Yeah. Well, it's for Mondioring.
I think it's the same for the super selection. I'm not sure, but it's just running 1 kilometer.
That's what it was.
It was without suit.
Okay.
It's not so complicated. But after it's the slalom with the suit on. And I don't know, I think it's 100 meters. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember we had a Mondioring trial here many years ago with Margaret McKenna. Is that
Margaret McKenna, yeah.
And we had a decoy certification then. And I think I filmed some of it. It was hard. Yeah. The running in a suit was hard. And they had to jump. She had them doing jumping.
Oh, yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. Not everybody passed.
No, it's, you need to imagine, you know, if you have a competition, you have a regular one, 10 dog level 3 or 12 dog level 3.
Yeah.
You need to be consistent for the first dog to the last dog.
Yeah.
This is a lot of people, a lot of decoy don't understand. You want to be, it's Hollywood, the first 3 dog.
Right.
And after you start to be tired, and the last one is just no decoy because it's just dying.
What do you see is the difference in your mind between a club trial and a world championship from a decoy standpoint?
For me, for the club trial, it's to be correct. Is a club, we need to have, I don't want to say easy competition, but regular, normal, for sponsoring people coming, enjoy, and after the people want to go high level, they go to the selective, depending where the country is, and they go want to touch the high level. But always is the people play level 1, 2, sponsored the level 3 for go to the World Championship, you know. And that's why for me it's good to make a difference between a regular competition, club competition, selective for World Championship.
Okay. So the selection for the World Championship is kind of like, to put it into English, is more like a regional championship. It's not the nationals, it's a regional championship. So you've got your club trials where people just come and just play with their dog. Just, they want to do it correct, everything has to be correct, they don't have to be super, super great. And then they go to the regionals, and then they have to be better because the competition is there. There's more people with better dogs there. And then they go from there to the World Championships.
And it's just crazy.
And for people that are watching this that have never watched a Mondioring Championship, go on YouTube, and there are a lot of videos on YouTube of national championships. They'll see how crazy it can be.
Oh yeah.
It's really crazy.
It's typical the Mondioring. It's difficult with the rules. You know, it's always a different retrieve. You can be set and throw the retrieve. Yeah. You have a defense with 2 decoy. You don't know the scenario. You know, it's the judge make the scenario.
We forgot to talk about your 5-day seminar. Do you, in that seminar, teach the guys how to deal with the basket, guard the basket?
The guard object, yeah.
The object guard?
I do a little bit on, I like explain the foundation.
For it?
It's, for me, it's very important. If the people understand to do a basic, on my idea, but the basic foundation for the basket, or for the defense sometimes, without decoy, I start a little bit, build up some exercise to do that. Because for me, it's very important to have a foundation, a strong foundation.
On the handler defense?
Defense of handler, basket, yeah, will be the accessory depending on the dog. But if you have a strong foundation, you can go and make your program better. If you have a problem on the top, it's 2 years old dog, and you come back on your foundation. If you have a strong foundation, you can always come back and teach your dog to build up. But if you have no foundation, and you have a problem,
and you're just lucky.
And you're just lucky, and you have a problem and you have no foundation, it's difficult to build up the dog again because the foundation was too fast or not very clear. And that's why if I have a seminar, I like to explain. I give my idea. I don't spend too much time to explain the whole process. I explain the basic clearly for the dog. And after, if you have a seminar with if the handler have a seminar with the different people, different decoy, if you have a foundation, it's easy after to progress. Yeah. But if you don't have foundation, it's difficult.
And even that's true for even the decoy. So the decoy has to have the foundation so he knows the basics of what he has to do. And then he can always, once they have that down, then they can always go crazy and think of all different things to get in the dog's head to get the basket away from them, or get them to bite before they're supposed to bite, or make them not bite, do so good that they don't even bite on the defense of the handler. Crazy stuff in the Mondioring. It's a dog sport like no other dog sport. I don't think there's anything like it. You know?
You keep your mind open, you know.
Yeah, keep your mind open. Yeah. The Nationals this year, a friend of mine was in the Nationals with his dog, and on the little woods. And for those that don't know what little woods are, they're little hunks of wood like this, and you handle one of them, and then what are there, 5 other ones or something? How many more?
4 other ones.
4 other ones. So the judge goes and puts the the 4 other ones out there, and you can walk out and put your stinky one with the 4 ones, and your dog's got to go down there and get yours and bring it back. Well, the Little Woods were in a driving rain in California this year, and it was Michael Ellis in the Nationals with his dog, and his Little Wood was floating in a mud puddle. It was floating. Who would think of that in training? How would you ever think of, oh, I'm going to do my Little Woods with the dogs with all the Little Woods floating in a mud puddle? But the judge can do that. You have to be prepared for it.
Yeah, I mean, always.
And then 10 years ago or something, I saw a defensive handler, and it was I think it was in Belgium, where the dog handler was sitting on a stack of foam like they use for pole vaulting. And he was sitting on the edge, and there was a bucket, like a machine that would lower guys or raise them up in a bucket,
yeah, I saw the video.
like a lineman fixing telephone lines, and the decoy was up in that bucket, and they lowered him down over the top of the dog handler, and the guy had to jump out. Geez, how do you train for that? How do you even think that up? These judges must be a little crazy at night. They must have wild dreams. Oh, okay, I'm going to do that tomorrow.
And you have access of the truck.
Yeah, I'm going to see how many dogs in the Nationals I can screw with. So I have a good question. How many competitions have you been a decoy in Mondioring or IPO?
I have 80 competitions in Mondioring, 6 World Championship in Mondioring, and 3 competitions in Egypt.
3 in IGP?
Yeah.
Shall I ask the question of what you think of IGP?
I love the training of IGP, the switch between between migration and the play drive.
And I'll preface that, or follow it with the difference between Mondioring is you never know what's coming next in a competition. In Schutzhund, it's a German sport, and everything is exactly the same. It's a routine. 5 steps this way, 10 steps that way, and it's how I started.
That's why I was doing too much.
I was in maybe 5 Schutzhund competitions in the early 1980s, and it was fascinating in the time, but there was no Mondioring then. And young people today, if they get the bug and they see what Mondioring is, and they're challenged to work with their dog at a high level, my personal feeling is Mondioring is the way to go. I really do think it's a great dog sport.
Depending on the personality. I have a friend, like, well, he's German, that's maybe why. He like the structure, you know, like clear. He don't like surprise.
Yeah,
He like IGP.
Right.
You have some people like a little bit the challenge to build up exercise and generalize the exercise and a lot of different distraction.
Right.
But after, it's like the bicycle. Some people like the bicycle to go to the forest or the mountain.
Yep.
And some people like the bicycle on the road, you know, just straight. But still bicycle.
Sure. How long do you think you'll stay in America doing dog training? Is your goal to move back to Switzerland?
For no. I like be here.
You have a nice home that you and Tanya have put together in Las Vegas. For those that don't know, Joaquim lives in Las Vegas, and his partner is a great pet dog trainer that I wish I could talk into doing some cool, short little pet dog
tips
courses with. And she's raising a Mondioring dog too.
Correct.
Right now, Belgian Malinois, and you are too.
Yeah, I won.
And that's where you hold your seminars, your 5-day seminars for rings for the decoy work. Is that your place in Las Vegas? And you go other places too, don't you?
I go to those places. My future one is in Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh?
Yeah, and it was this year, February, March. I've won in Las Vegas. The weather, it was perfect.
Yeah. You can't do much dog training in the summertime, can you there? in Las Vegas with the heat?
No. July, August is just crazy. But the rest of the year, you know.
But do you like living in Vegas?
Oh yeah, I like.
You do?
I like the hot weather.
Your mother's still living in Switzerland, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And has she come to visit you?
Yeah, last year she was in summer, and she come with my son the next summer.
And what did she think of Las Vegas?
She like. It was a little bit hot, but
Yeah.
she's okay.
So your mom is a nurse, right?
Correct. Yeah.
She's not in the dogs.
No.
Not in the
she
dog.
have all my retired dogs for the military.
Ah, that's where your dogs go? Your old military
Yeah.
dogs go home with
yeah.
mama?
Oh yeah. And it's close to the paradise, you know.
Yeah, for the dogs.
Oh,
huh?
good life. Very good life.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Well, I think I've answered all the questions that I have in my long list here. And I think in closing this out, if anyone is interested in contacting Joaquim for seminars, we'll put his contact information at the end of this video. So anyway, I want to appreciate you coming here because I think I think people are going to find it interesting that dog people in the dog sports in the United States have access to somebody that has your level of expertise. And you know, I'm going to be 76 in November, and in how many million years have I been fooling around? It's the only thing I've ever done in dogs. I haven't met very many people that have your level of expertise in doing decoy work. It's as soon as I saw you do work, I had heard about you before, and I never take anybody's word for anything until you came to Leerburg a few years ago. And Cindy and I just feel lucky to have met you. We feel that you and Tanya are just good friends. And anybody that's thinking about having a seminar should get in touch with him.